But I'm again glad that India is no longer the #1 weapons importer in the world. So first 9 months it doubled to $1 billion. So far we were thinking that we're only importing oil from Russia. What are we exporting to Russia? This is what we are exporting. Not so in the case of drones. Can hover for almost 35 odd hours. There are some drones, they are saying they're building it to hover for almost 2 whole days, that is 48 to 50 hours. Jai Hind friends, I'm Major Gauravari and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Friends, only yesterday I made that video for you in which I said that I hope that this deal with General Atomics for those 31 drones does not fructify. It does not happen. And there were various reasons. You know, The Wire put out a story saying that it's not happening. NDTV put out a story saying that it is happening. And I took another path because I'm a great believer in self-sufficiency. Sure, India is not going to be able to make the drones that the US makes. Not of that quality and caliber. Not immediately anyway. Sure, we might make a cheaper version of a drone or we might make a lighter version of that. But if anybody thinks, in its right mind thinks that India today in 2024 is going to be able to make that level of a drone, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Those are the facts. But the fact of the matter is that our learning trajectory is at a right angle. We are not learning like this. We're learning like this. It's just going up, up, up every single day. And the day is not far. I'm convinced the day is not far when we are going to make a better drone than the Predator. The Indians will do it and they'll make a better one than the Americans do. Now, here's the thing. The reason why I said it yesterday was, as I said, I'm a great believer in self-sufficiency in Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think we should all practice that. I think it should become some sort of a belief system, a matter of faith with all of us, that unless we encourage Indian manufacturers, how's India going to progress? It's very easy to write a check and say, hey, I need 31 drones. And America will make a little bit of a song and dance and some congressman will say that, hey, maybe India tried to kill Nijjar and we should investigate, etc., etc. And then the CIA and the Pentagon and the State Department are going to step in and say, shut up, congressman, and this is not the way it works and this is foreign policy and maybe India has done nothing and I don't know what's happened. But finally, that deal, it seems, has come through. All right, best of luck. Thank you very much. And congratulations, of course. But the fact of the matter is, when these 31 come to India, I hope we'll be manufacturing at least some part of it. This is very important. We are looking at a near win. I'm talking about people who comment on social media or people who comment in the mainstream media. There is a gap. We can very quickly fill this gap with imports and then we are secure. But actually long-term security will still elude us unless we start to make drones, and that is happening in India already. So I'm not saying we are not making drones. Yes, we are making drones. It is just that when you suffer a major setback, at least I can say personally in my case, whenever I have suffered a major setback, it has propelled me forward. It has propelled me forward. I bounce back with, double the determination and double the power. I must get this done. And that is how I believe that, we can get ahead in this field and so many other fields. But I'm again glad that India is no longer the #1 weapons importer in the world. I'm glad. I don't want to see India's name in the first 10 weapon importers of the world. Again, it's going to take a decade or so. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but we are well on that way. Anyway, so the manufacturer General Atomics has been notified and they've gotten in touch with India and the State Department is going to send us a letter, and I think by today we would have received it or we'll receive it by tomorrow. I don't know, but it's going to happen. Like now, it's a matter of hours that this thing happens, and then India will get these drones. Now, what are these drones? Okay, whether it's the Predator or whether it's the Guardian or the Reaper, what are these drones? These drones are pilotless aircraft which can be remotely controlled. So pilotless, remotely controlled, armed. They have a very small cross-section in the sense that their signature on the radar is very small and they can be in a state and no transcontinental or intercontinental airliner can do what the drones can do. Time in the air. Even the biggest of the aircraft carrying passengers, flying from India to New York, Delhi to New York, I beg your pardon, from Delhi to New York, or Delhi to Chicago, even that airliner has to, take a break for some time, refuel, get everything checked, and then fly off again. Not so in the case of drones, right? The drones can hover for almost 35 odd hours. They can hover, and there are some drones, they are saying they're building it to hover for almost 2 whole days. That is 48 to 50 hours, 2 whole days. But that is still in the future. I'm talking about these current drones. Between 30 to 40 hours, they can hover. They can go up to 50,000 feet, 40,000 feet, and they are equipped with a certain kind of missile called the Hellfire. The Hellfire missile is, it's extremely accurate. And you get a satellite fix on a target, you communicate that to the computer tells the Hellfire missile or the system inside the Predator, and it puts a missile where you want the missile to go. You can take out a moving vehicle, you can take out a house, you can take out a building, you can take out whatever you wish to take out. You can take out a person, right? Though I think it will be wasted on a person, these are very expensive missiles, but a building, high value target, no problem, press a button, good night. That's about it. So we are getting 31 of these. Now apparently 15 will go to the Air Force and the Army and the Navy take 8 each, is what I'm given to believe. But the lion's share will of course go to the Air Force. India hopes to partner with the Israelis to make similar armed drones. And I was talking to an Israeli gentleman who is part of the government, and he mentioned something very nice, which I would like to relate to you since it's about drones. So he was talking about some drones that the Israelis have and all that. So, and I asked him, I said, please tell me, are these drones armed or unarmed? And he said something which is very interesting. He says, you see, what is the point of having an unarmed drone? As far as the military is concerned. And he is saying that in Israel's context, there is no point in having a drone that is unarmed. Because you have an unarmed drone, it sees something, right? There is a threat, it reports back the threat, and then you send something else to take that threat down. He says it may work in the American or the Indian perspective, in the Israeli perspective, or an Israeli context actually. More so in our context, these things will not work. So our drones are all armed, they fly, we identify a threat, they say threat, we say go ahead, they press the trigger, good night. He says this is how we do it. So the turnaround times becomes very less. And all these drones are also, ladies and gentlemen, dual purpose. So the MQ-9B Predator is a drone which has a dual purpose. It is an attack platform, and it is also, if I may call it, a reconnaissance platform, because when it is flying, it is actually sending a live video feed. It's sending a live video feed back to the station and saying that this is what we have seen, and this is the photographs it can click, etc., and it can hover around and loiter around for a very long time. So this is something I think that is fascinating. Now, from the Americans, let's move to the Russians, right? And here is what the Russians and the Indians have decided to do together. So I have a report here, and I'm going to read out certain points to you. It's very interesting, and wait for this. India's annual export of machinery, auto parts and engineering goods to Russia doubled to over 1 billion in the last 9 months of financial year 24, which is till March. So first 9 months it doubled to $1 billion. So far we were thinking that we're only importing oil from Russia. What are we exporting to Russia? This is what we're exporting. Basically machinery, auto parts, engineering goods, etc. And it's saying that engineering exports to Russia, including auto parts, electrical equipment and machinery, are projected to reach 1.5 billion by the end of March. This March, end of this financial year, by 31st of March, our exports for this year to Russia would have touched 1.5 billion US dollars. So you saw how, by March we'll reach 1.5 billion with Russia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is great. There are very few countries in the world that can actually boast of having excellent relationship with America and Russia both. Both of them. We're trading with America. So immediately the news comes that the American Congress has said okay for the 31 drones, Predators, and then we have this news about Russia. We are one of the very few countries, ladies and gentlemen, which has friendly relations. It's unlike China. America is trading with China and they have a huge trade between them. They dislike each other, right? They dislike each other. And America wants to disengage from China. They want to decouple. And American companies are working towards that. British companies, European companies are working towards that. Decoupling, disengaging. With India, it is more of engagement. This is, of course, the strength of Indian diplomacy. This is, of course, the strength of our outreach, of our talent, of people from India who've managed to tell the West that, hey, here is a destination. And, forget about these phrases called China plus one. It's not about China plus one. There is China and there is India. There is no, we are not plus one. We are different. We are a democracy. We are the world's largest democracy. We are the world's most populous nation. And we follow the rule of the law. And I would again encourage, and this is my request to all the Western nations, if you look at profit and profit alone, and I'm sure because the ecosystem of manufacturing in China is much larger than that of India. But then why do you speak about democracy? Why do you speak? Why for you is democracy just a punchline? And when you have to walk the talk, then you dither. All these Western countries, nobody wants to criticize China. You keep on giving lectures to everybody, especially the Middle East. You guys love giving lectures to the Middle East. Democracy. We want democracy in Iraq, Iraq. A lot of Americans call it Iraq. You want democracy in Iraq. You want democracy in Iran. You want democracy everywhere, but you never want democracy in China. Why is that? Why do you not want democracy in China? Walk the talk. That's all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. 2 big wins. The export increasing to Russia and touching 1.5 billion by this March, and 31 Predators coming to India, which we have purchased for a close to $4 billion US dollars. Now we'll go to the question and answers. The first question is, don't you think there should be, and this is by Manish Dixit, by the way, don't you think there should be a criteria to decide for a community to be deemed a minority? Will there be any community considered minority even if there is a ratio of 70-30 or 60-40? In some states, Hindus are minority, but they are called majority based on data of whole country. See, I'll tell you what, this whole thing about minority and majority is nonsense. Okay? Jains, I have never met, I have so many Jain friends, okay? And I have never seen a Jain saying, we are a minority. I haven't seen a Sikh saying he's a minority. Parsis are the smallest minority. They're so few in number that, a Parsi friend joked that I think all Parsis know each other because we are hardly, our numbers are so few. But I've never seen any Parsi even comment. Not that I know many Parsis, I know one or two, but I've never seen any Parsi saying that we are a minority and we want this and that. So this whole thing is, this is a political construct, which I don't understand very well, right? This whole, we are a minority and he's a minority and he's a majority. This is nonsense. We are all Indians. That's all it should end there. Dear Major Arya, my name is Ganesh. Hello Ganesh ji. I would like to ask you, what do you think about the future of Israel? Right now, while Israel is fighting hard against Hamas and Hezbollah on the ground, it seems to be losing the social media war. There is so much condemnation of Israel everywhere, and now the International Court of Justice has asked Israel to stop what it calls genocide in Gaza. How will the Israelis deal with it? Okay, first of all, social media matters, but in a limited context, because you need to be able to take a gun and fight. Israel will win, and I will tell you why. First of all, I think Israel will win because Israel is right. It is right, therefore it will win. It is more powerful than any other country in the Middle East or West Asia. That is why it will win. And thirdly, all these people on social media, especially a lot of immigrants, especially Muslim immigrants, they go to the US, they go to the UK and Palestine, but none of them actually want to go to Gaza and fight. So, you see, protesting on social media is of limited value. I keep on seeing these videos, people spray painting, free Palestine. And where are you? You're in New York City. You're in New York City. Free Palestine. Where are you? You're in Mumbai. Free Palestine spray painted. Where are you? Well, you're in London. Shame on you. You think you can spray paint Palestine to quote unquote freedom or whatever you think freedom is? Palestine is just a punchline for people. Nobody likes them. Even the Muslim countries don't like them, which is why no Palestinian immigrant is welcome into any Muslim country. They've just said no. They folded their hands and said, please, forgive us. We cannot take you. We have had enough of you. Ask Egypt. What you see on social media is not the reality. What you see even in the mainstream media is not the reality. Everybody in Pakistan today, I'm seeing the social media, everybody says in Pakistan, we want to fight, we want to fight. If our government gives us the visa, and I told a person that your government will not give you the visa. The Palestinian government will give you a visa, or whichever body is there. All you need to do is travel there and go and fight. How many Pakistanis have landed up in Gaza to fight? Not one. The Pakistanis will illegally travel to every white and rich nation on earth. But for 76 years, they've not been able to make their way to Palestine. Now, who do you think will win? Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind ji. I don't know your name. It says Bitu Pan, but I don't know your name. Why don't we hear China out from any of our neighboring countries? Is India playing defensive with China? No, it's not like that. China out came out in Nepal a few years back. And you see what China does. China plays dirty, actually. China plays dirty. And there will always be a difference in the modus operandi of a democracy and a dictatorship. India can never behave the way China behaves. For Chinese, there are no rules. Xi Jinping is God. They worship Xi Jinping or Mao Zedong or one of these funny names, unpronounceable names, and that is what the Chinese do here. We are playing different games. Our rules are different. Unfortunately or fortunately, that is what it is. Look in case of Maldives, where this India out thing actually came into the limelight. They paid money to Moizu, that's it. India will not do that. India cannot do that. Because here, the government is accountable to the parliament. And there are going to be some very, very tough questions in the parliament. Very tough questions in the parliament. In China, there is no parliament. They don't care. He just, okay, bribe Moizu. How much does he want? So he's asking for $100 million. Give it to him. Moizu is going to do whatever Xi Jinping tells him to do. By paying the money, Xi Jinping has bought himself a servant. And that is how China treats all these countries. How do you think the Pakistanis and their prime ministers and all, whenever they go, whether Shehbaz Sharif or this guy Kakad, any one of them, when they go to China, how are they treated? Do you think they're given due protocol? No, they're not. They're disrespected there. They're not treated with a great deal of respect. The Chinese are very clear. Either you're giving them money or taking money from them. If you're giving money to the Chinese, they'll be more than happy. There's going to be top-class protocol if you're their customer. And if you're not their customer, and if they give you money, then the Chinese will treat you very shabbily. And that's all there is to it. This India out, China out, these are temporary hiccups in relationships that are decades old. Decades old. You might have India out in Bangladesh. But who's the Prime Minister of Bangladesh? Who runs the government? Think about it. Who runs the government in Nepal? Who runs the government in Sri Lanka? Figure out the names, figure out their inclination towards India, and you'll have the answer. Who's winning and who's losing. Thank you very much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, press the like button. Subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.